everyone. This is Lisa Melton Pizzuto, your elementary math coordinator for Local District Northeast. And today I'm going to give you a short overview of the math content for the first 5 weeks of lessons, fall 2020. The first thing you're going to want to do to access the lessons is to join the Local District Northeast Elementary Instruction Schoology group. Once you join the group, you'll be able to access all the resources. Let's take a look at what those resources look like. Here I am in the Local District Northeast Elementary Instruction Schoology group. Here you'll see an update that tells you a little bit more about the resources that are available in the group, along with videos that will help guide you through how to use these resources. Today, we're going to speak specifically about the resources for elementary math. You can find the elementary math resources in two ways. The first way is to go into the teacher folder where you will find teacher materials for the elementary math resources. This will include slide decks that you can copy to your own Google Drive and edit and modify as you wish, a teacher plan book resource which will help support you with your instruction, a list of all the Local District Northeast Schoology codes, and video overviews for the first 5 weeks of instruction. Here you will find videos that give you information about how to use the materials, but you will also find videos on the different content areas. The math video that I'm making now will also be here in this folder. In the next folder, the student course materials, you will find materials that you can copy over into your course for students. For example, if you're at a school that uses both Benchmark and Amplify, you would use the blue folder. Both Benchmark and FOSS, you would use the purple folder. Wonders and Amplify, you would use the orange folder. And Wonders or FOSS, you would use the yellow folder. All of these folders contain the same math content, but their ELA and science content is going to be a little different. Let's take a look at one of the folders. Here, I can click on any grade level, and then I can copy the materials for the week to my course by simply clicking Add to Course from the right-hand side next to the cog setting wheel. If I copy the entire week into my course, this is what students will see. They'll have to click on the day in order to get to the class presentations and assignments. The math presentation is there for each day of the week. To access it, you or students would click on Math, and then you'll see the slide deck that pops up. This is already embedded into Schoology. And I can go full screen and present this to students directly from Schoology through the student materials. Here, you can move forward to the different slides that you might be interested in, or you can move forward one slide at a time. What I'd like to do now is share a little bit more about the content of the resources that were designed for math for week 1 and week 2. Back in the Schoology group, in the Teacher Materials folder, I can access the Teacher Plan book. Here, I can click on Math on the right-hand side, and this will give you information about how the resources for math for the 5 weeks of lessons were structured. Here you can see a scope and sequence that gives you an idea of the structure of all the weeks. We're going to take a look at some of these slides right now for weeks 1 and 2. Weeks 3, 4, and 5 materials will be provided incrementally, 1 week at a time. This will give you time to prepare for your instruction and will also help to make sure the resources we're providing are of the highest quality possible. Here you can see that in weeks 1 and 2, there is a routine that repeats each day. Let's take a look at what that routine looks like using the slides. We're going to look at a sample day together. All of the days and all of the grades for weeks 1 and 2, the first 7 days starting August 20th until August 28th, have the same structure and format. Let's take a look at grade 1, week 1, day 1. We're going to start off with some class norms. These norms are the same throughout all of the Local District Northeast resources. This will help you to build consistency across all your content areas. We're then going to move on to something that's more math specific. We're going to orient students to math class beliefs. These are special norms just for the field of mathematics education. We're going to start with our first day by asking students what they think mathematicians do. Here we can use the Zoom annotation tools to document our ideas. You can find support for how to use Zoom annotation tools in the teacher plan book on the Zoom tab. We're going to introduce students to what mathematicians do and help them understand how that connects to the work we're doing in math class. Here, we're going to introduce them to the 8 beliefs about mathematics and mathematicians. These come from the UCubed website and have been made popular through the work of Joe Bowler. We're going to teach kids about each of these during the first 2 weeks of school so that we can use these as an anchor throughout the rest of the school year. We're going to introduce students to the weekly and daily objectives. The weekly topics for weeks 1 and 2 are always going to include a number sense routine, learning a math game, and have a focus on math discussion. The objectives are going to focus on the math practice standards. Each lesson has a focus on certain math practices. On the next slide, we have highlighted in color the ones that are the focus for today's lesson. Now we're going to move on to the math routine. This is always going to be a number sense routine. The different routines will vary throughout the different days. Here you see a notice and wonder routine. Some of the other routines that you'll see throughout these lessons are same but different, which one doesn't belong, a number talk image, and ways to make a number. Here is another example of a number sense and reasoning routine using notice and wonder, and then moving into which one doesn't belong. Here, students would think about which number doesn't fit in with the others. This one comes from one of the upper grade slide decks. You can find more information about how to facilitate these routines using the facilitation guide. Here I am back in the Local District Northeast Elementary Instruction Group. To find the facilitation guide that goes with the lessons, I'm going to click on Resources and then click on the first folder for Teacher Materials. Here I'll click on the Teacher Materials package. I'll be taken to a presentation that looks like this. I'm going to move to the second page and click on Elementary Math on the choice board. I'm looking at the first grade materials, so I'll click on first grade, and here is where I can access the facilitation guide. Once the guide opens, I'll be able to see the acknowledgements page where teachers who worked on these lessons are acknowledged for their wonderful work, a resource page, and then information about each of the slides. These are sectioned off so that you can see the chunks of learning that are occurring over time. If I zoom in, you can see that on the second section of this page, there are a number of links and resources that will help you learn more about how you might facilitate each of these routines. The purpose of having different number sense and reasoning routines in the early weeks is so that students will learn about their structure and begin to get comfortable and confident with sharing their mathematical thinking. They also support students with building number sense and engage them in the mathematical practices. Let's go back to the lesson and keep looking at the flow of the day. This particular lesson shows an example of using a read aloud in math class. Some lessons will have read alouds and some might not. You might find your own read aloud that you might like to use that connects to the content for the day. Here I can just play the video and students can hear the book being read aloud to them, and I can pause it along the way to ask follow-up questions and allow opportunity for discussion. Remember, this was part of our objectives for today, and we want students to have a chance to reflect and begin learning about what these math practices look like in the classroom. This is a chance for us to give some feedback and help shape their understanding of what these math practices mean. In the first 2 weeks, we're going to slowly introduce each of the math class norms and beliefs from UCubed. Here, after this number sense routine is over, we're prompted to talk a little bit about this particular belief. The next section of the day includes a math game or activity. In this particular day, students are learning how to use the Pattern Shapes app. There are directions here that you can use to introduce the app to students. Doing this now with them will help to build discussion. At this time, you would want to go live and work together as a class to create something. You can be the hands and students can be the voice, sharing instructions or ideas on what to do. The goal here with the math games and the math activities is to provide engagement and fun, build student confidence in sharing their thinking, allow opportunities to build community, and give you a chance to learn more about the students' approaches and their mathematical ideas. All of the games that are shown in week 1 and 2 will be included on an activity called a choice board in week 3. This is meant to be an independent activity. So teaching the kids how to play the games or use the activities each day will help them to use the choice board in week 3 independently. Here is another example of a game from the primary grades. This one is less of an activity and is a little more game-like. It's called Subitizing Seeds. The directions and the support to move students through the game are provided here for you. You can ask them the follow-up questions and then go live to play the game together. Students can respond all together by unmuting themselves and shouting out the answer all at once. They can respond in the chat, or you might ask them to raise their hand as a participant using the Zoom tools and call on one student at a time to participate. You can be the hands for the student and move the game forward, but they can be the voice, sharing with you what they think you should do next. Here's another example of a math game from one of the upper grades. This one is the Make a 10 game using cards. The directions are there and you can walk students through the process. When you get to the last slide, you can click to go live to play the game with students. We're going to now wrap up the day with looking at one more of the math class norms and beliefs. We're going to connect to this one on day 1. Mistakes and challenge are the best times for your brain. We could ask students what provided a challenge today and how they felt their brain grew. We can mark how important that is for mathematicians to have mistakes and work through challenges. This next slide gives you a little bit more information to mark that for students. Again, the goal is to build student confidence and build a positive math identity by referring back to these beliefs. For the asynchronous time in week 1 and week 2, you might want to ask students to work on a digital platform. There are various platforms that are available for students. Zearn is available for all students across the district in K through 8. iExcel is available for all students across the district in K-12. ST Math is available for all elementary schools, and Dreambox is available for select schools. You will choose the one that is right for you and your class or your school. You might want to teach kids how to log in or how to use this resource during the first couple weeks. To learn more about these platforms as a teacher, you can go to MyPLN and type in the keywords digital tools. That's where you can find asynchronous modules on how to use these resources. To find the apps that accompany them, you can go to the LMS App Center from LAUSD and type in the name of the app. This slide indicates that is the end of math class. There are a couple more things I would like to show you that are important for you to know about weeks 1 and 2 for elementary math instruction for the first 5 weeks of lessons. This is one of the other kinds of activities I wanted to show you. Here, the number sense routine is ways to make. We're asking students to think about the number 20 and all the things they know about 20. I want them to share all the different ways they know that 20 can be made, and I want to record their thinking. You could use the Zoom annotation tools to do that, or you could use this great resource called Google Jamboard. You'll see Google Jamboard being used throughout the math resources because it is such a wonderful tool for annotation. Here, you only need access to the Jamboard, but eventually, in week 4 or 5, there might be an assignment for students to have their own Google Jamboard that they can annotate on and submit to you. This will be a great way to begin modeling for them how to use this tool. When you click here on the slide, you'll be asked to make a copy. This will allow you to have a copy of your own Google Jamboard document in your own Google Drive. This way, you can edit it, rename it, or come back to it at any time. It's ready to go for you so you can begin annotating student thinking. Here on the Jamboard, I can use a sticky note to document student ideas. I can also capture student thinking using the pen tool. If students said that they wanted to count to 20 one by one, but record as tallies, I could easily do that using the pen tool to show the class how they counted. We could even count together as a class to help keep track. The sentence frames here in the Jamboard is actually an image that you can move around. I can click on the little dots to duplicate or delete it. You also have the ability to add a frame up at the top, or duplicate or delete a frame. You can change the background, you can clear the entire frame, or undo. You can also use the laser pointer or select a new image that you might want to add from a Google search or Google Drive or your photos. The wonderful thing about Google Jamboard is you can add a JPEG or PNG image from any resource and use this to annotate student ideas. And it's automatically saved in your Google Drive so you can always refer back to it later. Clicking on the 3 dots up here at the top right will allow me to rename, download as a PDF, save the frame, remove, or make a copy. To learn more about how to use Google Jamboard, click on the Resources tab, click in the first folder for teacher materials, click on the link that says Teacher Plan Book. When you get to the Teacher Plan Book, click on the tab for Google Jamboard. This will take you to tutorials that will help you learn how to use Jamboard and a featured video featuring teachers from Local District Northeast from Sylvan Park Elementary School sharing how they use Jamboard in their virtual math instruction. One other feature of the resources for the 5 weeks of instruction is that there is an asynchronous assignment built into the lessons. In weeks 1 and 2, there is one asynchronous assignment that can be found in week 2, day 3. For all of the grade levels, this is a video assignment using a photo. The photo is different for the different grade levels, but the routine is the same. Here we're asking students, what do they notice and what do they wonder about the photo? They've done some notice and wonder routines with you already during their synchronous instruction. They're going to record themselves sharing what they noticed and what they wondered about this particular image. You have slides in your presentation so that you can share what the assignment is with students. You also have a description of the assignment that they or a family member can read over to know what to do. You also have a slide showing them how to submit their video assignment. This can be helpful for you as well because you can walk them through the process live. You have a slide that shares how to do this for Chromebooks and one that shows how to submit for iPads. You also have videos for iPads. If you click here, you'll be taken to an English and Spanish video demonstration showing how to submit an assignment for the iPad. You can learn more about the assignments in Schoology that are embedded in the resources by clicking on the Schoology tab in the Teacher Plan Book, and then clicking on what kinds of Schoology assignments are included. When you click here, you'll get to a page that looks like this, and it'll show you the 3 kinds of assignments that are going to be embedded in the materials for the first 5 weeks of school. Here there are video links for how students can submit their assignments. There are also links for you to support you with providing students with feedback using Schoology. You can provide students with written feedback through Schoology, or you can make your own video with teacher feedback. You will see the videos and file upload assignments prominently featured in the first 5 weeks of lessons because it will help us to know what students are thinking in terms of their mathematical understanding and give them a chance to engage in all of the math practices. We will be using student thinking and student work to move conversation forward throughout the 5 weeks of lessons. So teaching students how to submit an assignment using Schoology will be really helpful during the first 2 weeks so they can get more comfortable for weeks 3, 4, and 5. You'll also see some Google Drive assignments later on in week 4 and week 5 of the materials. One other feature of these resources is that the Schoology assignments have already been built out for you. Here I am back in the Local District Northeast Educator group. If I go to the second folder on Student Course Materials, I can click on any of these to get to the math materials. I'm going to go back to that first grade assignment. It was in week 2, day 3. I'm going to click on Wednesday, and I'm going to click on Assignments. Here I see the Number Sense video assignment. This has already been made for you, so once you copy materials to your course, this assignment will already be there for students. If you decide to move it to a different day, you can rename it with a different week. When students click on the assignment, they will see the entire resource available for them. They can move through the slides to revisit the materials and the directions. Any hyperlinks that were available before will still be hyperlinked for them, so they can still click on those for support. Here, I am in a group, so you don't see the assignment the way a student will see it in their course. In the student course, students will see a submit button. I hope you've enjoyed learning about all the features that are available in the first 2 weeks of math instruction for students. We feel these are very powerful to support student engagement, conversation, and build their confidence and positive mathematical identity. These are wonderful activities for building community, but are also high leverage for supporting rigorous math instruction moving forward. We hope the video tutorials, facilitator guides, Google Slides, and pre-made assignments and resources in Schoology will support you in facilitating instruction virtually. Thank you all for your hard work and everything you do every day for students and families. Have a great start to the new school year.